Now, this is microns, right? The vacuum pump is off. This is off. The compressor is running. It's hooked up to the low side, and it's pulling down into the micron level like a vacuum pump. Now, I only have 235 grams of refrigerant. So is the expansion valve plugged, or is it because it runs low on refrigerant and this system doesn't have a safety device, the low pressure switch? As long as it sees the pressure enough when it starts, it'll start the compressor, but it will not turn off the compressor. I just put a little refrigerant in there. It will not turn off the compressor once it starts, and it'll allow it to run into a micron level in negative vacuum. This is an old Honda. What is this? Can somebody see the year on there? I'm not seeing it yet. Down there, 1993. 1993 Honda Accord. And I got 330 grams in there now. I just put a little refrigerant in there. Now we're staying at 23. So from 200 and something to 330, it's now at 23. Do you see that? It had refrigerant in there. It was running into the microns negative vacuum, and it will keep running until you hit a certain level. And yes, I do have it in liquid, and I am going into the low side because they have a retrofit fitting on there. This is the little 1/4 inch. I don't even bother. Those little tiny undersized, I don't even bother with those. I just go by temperature feel to get my PT, you know, my pressure temperature to determine what my pressure is. So let's squirt a little more in there. Bada boom, bada bing, good enough. Oh my God, liquid is getting inside here, gonna blow the compressor. My liquid is right here. As soon as I crack this, it starts flashing, and you look inside the sight glass, it starts flashing to a gas where it's just a partial liquid and vapor. And because it's lowering through here, it's dropping pressure below its flash point, so it becomes a semi-vaporish form in the hose. And because I cut it off fast, as it fills the hose and it's going down in pressure, this is down in the 20s, and it goes through the small valve core in there, and it comes out the end like an expansion valve as an atomized gas. So that's why I could do that. So get a little more in there. And it takes time for it to catch up and go down in there. So here's our suction line right here. I have the temperature on there. I couldn't get this big gauge on anything anywhere. I'd use my little beak, my remote Bluetooth ones if I want the high side pressure. So you see the pressure dropping. Now this was at a shop, and they were putting refrigerant in this, and in one day they would lose it, and they looked for the leak, they couldn't find it. So they put more refrigerant in it, let the customer go off, they come back, they didn't find it. They never put no dye in the system. They tried 3 times putting refrigerant in there. It kept leaking out into the atmosphere, Mr. EPA, because they don't own the correct equipment to do AC and look for leaks. And so they found this shop, and he asked me to come down and look at this customer's car, and now I'm here looking for the leak. But I want to prove that the system is still good. The leak I'll find, but I want to prove the system isn't damaged and it's working good, all the controls are working good. Then I'll look for the leak. And you'll see the suction line coming down. Oh, let me let a little bit of pressure over into the other side. It's just dangling right down here. There we go. Now I can see. My superheat's at 33. My refrigerant charge is at 600. Calls for 850. I'll put about 790 in there or so. Now we'll watch the suction line come down as I just put in more refrigerant in there. And you see, because I put the refrigerant in here and the compressor is in that direction, as the refrigerant came here, it flashed and got colder, and that's why you've seen a minus 18 here for just a second, if you notice that in the video. But now it warmed back up. I'm sitting right in the fan heat, and the heat of the fan of the motor is hitting my test instrument. That raises the temperature a little bit. You see it's 60 degrees right now, 59. We're at 740. A little bit more. 785. We're good there. And you see, I'm not using the high side. I'm not using the subcooling. Even though this is an expansion valve system, it had that small connector, and I'm not bothering going this in. I got a customer call. Okay, I'm gonna have to grab off this. I'll catch you guys later.